All right, bill searching time. She's a here. Let's just jump right into it, guys. 2013 series $1 note. A lot of you probably watch my videos. Maybe you don't. Who knows? So you may or may not know what we're looking for here. So we are looking at fancy serial numbers, patterns in the serial number, print issues, ink smear issues, ink issues. Misalignments, or if it's miscut, kind of overall issues with the note, blurred printing, kind of things of that nature. So not only variety types of things like fancy serial numbers, but also errors. All right, first one, not so much. Second one, got ourselves a Richmond, Virginia Federal Reserve stamp here. That's the E's 4, coincides with the first letter here. I have a few videos that cover all the different parts of the bills, so check those out. No shifts or anything. No real repetition going on. Nothing jumping out. A little bit of damage. I do collect stamp notes, like instead of this screwed up part, if it was like a bank stamp and it actually was legible, I'd probably keep it. But that's more collectible than valuable. Pretty clean $5 note. They redesigned pretty much all the bills except for 1s and 2s in the early 2000s to combat counterfeiting. Little bit of kind of press through of the serial number there. Unless it's like excessive ink that's obscuring portions of the note, I don't really consider it something to hold on to. 2017 series $10 note. These ones are crisp as can be. Hey, all right, so they're in order. I get asked about that a lot. I mean, if you know, I go to the ATM and get like a couple $100 out in 20s, for example, and they'll be in order. That's not really going to add any value to the notes. I mean, unless you're talking a huge run of star notes and they're like, I've sold some 2s, I guess, that are in order. But to me, it doesn't command more anything over face value just for having a bunch of 10s that are, you know, in order. So just my opinion. You can let me know in the comments if you've made a better sale than that, but I didn't really, you know, and the people that I sell to. Same as like little press throughs like this. Unless the whole serial number is able to be read essentially backwards in this case, covering portions of the depiction of the U.S. Treasury here, it's not an error. Or at least kind of like a print error I'd hold on to. 2013 $5 note. Nothing jumping out there. Nothing there. And all this discoloration here is not an ink issue. It's more damage to the note, just wear and tear. You know, $1 notes expected lifespan, so to speak, is like 7 to 10 years. So generally speaking, stuff like this one from a 2013 series are surprisingly reaching the end of their lifespan, so to speak. A little shift in the seal here, but nothing crazy. Really cleanly printed note. Another damaged $1 note, but they are circulated, so. 2017 series. Nothing's going to change with the next series of dollars that are coming out. Just the signatures that are on the notes. But the actual design is the same. A little bit of kind of weird blurring. It's pretty clean. For a second there, I thought we might have a little kind of an ink issue right next to E pluribus. But no dice. Okay, kind of a cool serial number. I really wish it was 8009 8009. That would have been a good block repeater, despite the fact this is a really, you know, torn up and beat up note. I wonder, okay, we'll get to that goofball note in a minute. But that's something to keep an eye out for. So this one is going to just miss it barely. But if we would have had a repetition of either of these 4 sets here, that would have been really awesome. Back of the note, damaged, so it's hard to tell if anything's there. So unfortunately, nothing to hold on to. Jesus loves, Jesus saves. Okay. You know, I normally don't like writing on notes, but with no context to it and just kind of goofy to me, I think it's kind of funny. Jesus loves, Jesus saves. I don't know what they were gonna write there, but okay. Serial number doesn't have anything in it. Nothing jumping out on the back, but I'll throw it to the side as kind of a funny little find. Little bit of a high printed 4/8 here, but nothing dramatic enough for me to hold on to. That's a pretty heavy wet ink transfer there. Generally, this is from one of two things here. This looks to be they just really, really heavy printed the front of the note, so you see the jacket of Washington kind of stuck through there like a thumbprint. Or it's from the note that sat below this one once they cut them off the sheet, and the wet ink just transferred a bit. So it's one or the other. Either way, unless it's really dramatic and obscuring a portion of the note, I wouldn't say it's worth anything. Beat up 2017 note. I wouldn't go too far as to say this is also damaged. Although it does match up, it could very well just be this note got wet or another one did, then put in a wallet, and it transfers a little bit green tone over. Actually, a pretty decent, kind of heavy inked 8 there in the middle. But still pretty normal print. A little bit of highlighter there. It's nothing the serial number. A little bit of a counter stamp like I mentioned earlier, but I don't really hold on to them unless they're almost a full stamp. And even then, they're not worth a ton of money. I just like to collect them. Kind of older $1 note here, 2006. Yeah, a couple digits off from a broken ladder serial number. So if we would have had, 2 through 9 or whatever, but the correct numbers, could have got a couple bucks over face value. It is an older one, but surprisingly in better condition than some of the ones we went through so far. Nothing there. Back to the 2017 A series. A little bit of what seems to be a little ink smear here. So a tiny little ink smear. I like it. I mean, it's not major. It's a little off tone-wise, so it could just be damage, but looking at it closer and closer, it does seem to be a little bit of an ink smear there above the of the United States of America. It's not too crazy, but I might set it aside to reference it in another video about ink smears, so we'll just keep it. 2017 series $1 note. Pretty clean. Little bit of blurring. I get asked about this too, where it says Federal Reserve note. You're going to get some of that black ink blurring into the lettering there. If it's really heavy, then you might have a little bit of a misprint going on. You can hold on to that if you want to. Otherwise, I would just say it's normal. Kind of a funky printed 5 on this first serial number. And again, only a couple digits away from a broken ladder fancy serial number, but nothing to hold on to there. A little wet ink transfer. A lot of the time I'm just talking out loud, but it's to point out things that you can keep an eye out for. And then I've seen a lot of comments from you guys where you have come across some of these things. So even though I'm not finding them, you're luckier than I. So hey. Nice damage. Looks like somebody stepped on it. Tried to run it through a scanner or something. A little bit of a shift to the left of the serial number here, but not crazy. You can tell by the seal. It's just a little over to the left. It's supposed to be touching that kind of center chevron of the E a little more. And good repetition of 4s in there. For a second I thought we might have a stuck digit. This guy's also been pinned to a board at some point or ripped up. And a little bit of damage. For a second I thought we might have another kind of minor ink smear. A little over ink on that 1. But nothing crazy. And nothing on the back. Last couple of notes. Looks like we got a 1 and a 5 here. Another older one, so that's pretty sweet. At least we got to see some older ones in this one, you know? For me, I think the actual, you know, if you compare them between the two, although they have the same design, there is a tone difference between the newer ones, of course. I think just quality of the machinery used to print them. But for some reason, I like kind of the droned-out tone of the older notes. This one, of course, has seen a lot longer life in circulation, so that might be a factor. Nothing on the back of it, though. Last but not least, 2013 $5 note. Not too bad. It seems like all the fives were beaten up in this bill search. Nothing too crazy. Things that we did hold on to. Little, small, kind of stray tone, stray ink error going on. I'll look at it under a jeweler's loupe, under a scope, see if it's as cool as I think it is, but it's more of something I just want to hold on to as kind of a small find. And then kind of our funny find of the video, because you know we have so many notes we come across with goofy writing on it. Our Jesus loves, Jesus saves $1 note. They did add "In God We Trust" to the back of the notes in 1957, so I guess, hey, it is applicable in its own way. Nothing too nuts in this bill search, but I really enjoy doing them, and I thank you so much for joining me. Check out all my other videos on what to look for in your pocket that might be worth more than face value, and let me know what you've come across in the comments in your recent coin and banknote searches. I love hearing about it, so I will see you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.